Welcome everyone. This video is going to be the start of a build series that I'm going to be doing where I show my methods of building a display table. Now this isn't something that I'm new to. I've actually built quite a few tables over the years. In fact, I'll even go ahead and throw up some photos of the tables that I've done for you all to see. But I've been doing this ever since I was a kid, and up to where I am now, probably the tables that I've done within the last 5 to 6 years have improved quite a bit from where they were when I first started. And a couple of tables I've done have actually been award-winning displays, and that's something that I'm really proud of. But what I'm going to be doing in this build series is putting together a 1/64 scale display for an upcoming show I'm going to be attending in April. And one thing I do want to say is that I was inspired to do this build series by the YouTuber Sparkshot. He's also known as Knuckles, and he's actually doing a build series of his own right now, building an N-scale train layout, and the series is called Out and About Narambi. And I will leave a link to his channel and the video series if you wish to check it out. But what I'm going to be doing right now is I have some framework here. This is basically recycled material from a project that I don't know somebody started and apparently never finished. But this is just material that I've had laying around, and it's going to be recycled for my display table. So we're going to go ahead and start with this and hopefully make a good display out of it. So let's get to it. So there's a few things that bother me with these frames, and the first thing is they definitely need cleaned up a little bit. They've got splinters in them, and a good sanding will honestly do them good, make them look a little more presentable. But I also noticed I've got nails in a few of the boards, and those will need to be pounded out. But probably what bothers me the most is these frames are not exactly square. They've got a little bit of a twist to them, and I'm not sure if that's how they were made or if that's just the board's warping from sitting over time, because these have probably been sitting for around 20, 30 years. All I know is the boards definitely look like they were hand cut. But as much as I would have just liked to have sanded these and started putting stuff together for the table, what I'm going to have to do is basically tear the frame apart and go ahead and put it back together and make sure it's square when I do that. And another thing I think I'll do is use screws instead of nails in case I ever want to take this apart again. It'll be a lot easier. So go ahead and do that now. So this is the first frame right here, and what I'm going to attempt to do is pound the board running this way, and hopefully it'll make the nails back out of the boards running this way. That's the plan. Whether it works or not, I don't know, but I'll give it a shot here. Now that one seemed to work just fine. Try this one here. I can see it's pulling out of here, so I think this is going to work just fine. Alright, progress report. Got the frame apart and pulled the nails. I did that off camera because it was probably going to be boring to watch anyways, but I got my 2 supports for under the table, my 2 short boards for the frame of the table, and also the 2 long boards, and there's the nails for anyone that is a fan of nails. But I'm going to be putting this frame back together, and again making sure it's square this time, and for that I'm going to be using 2.5-inch screws. Now these are exterior screws. You don't have to use exterior screws. This is just what I have on hand, so that's what I'll be using. Well, unfortunately, due to a lack of space to work, I am going to have to assemble all this on the floor. Oh well. Okay, now before I do anything else, I gotta check and make sure this is square, which it should be. So, 1 second, I gotta go run and get a tape measure. This corner, 57 inches. This corner, 57 3/4, so it's not quite in square at the moment, but we can make it square. So I'm putting in the middle supports now. So here's the first frame reassembled and squared up like it's supposed to be. Looks a lot better. I'm not dealing with that warping issue that I had before. As you can see here, nice and level, just as it should be. And I did make up for that 1/4 inch difference I had with the diagonal measurements. So this is in fact square now. So what I'm going to do is, I got the other frame over here next to one of my display tables. I'm going to do the exact same thing to this frame that I did to this frame, except I'm going to do it off camera so you guys don't have to watch me do it again. So I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so that's the 2 halves of the table done. Everything's been assembled, everything's square, looks good, I'm happy with it. And what I've done now is temporarily clamped the 2 halves together, because the next step will be drilling holes to add bolts to secure everything permanently. And I've carefully marked out where the bolts need to go. There will be 2 for each of these divides. And my method here is I'm going to use carriage bolts and add a washer and a wing nut on the other end. I might just put regular hex nuts on these because I figured wing nuts would be more convenient, but it's not like I'm going to be taking this apart anytime in the near future. So, but anyways, go ahead and get holes drilled, and that probably will be it. Right, got a few bolts in now, but I ran into a little problem here, and you can probably see the boards along here are not flush, and that's because this furthest one here has a bit of a bow to it, and it does give. What I'm going to have to do is clamp these 2 halves together to get this down flush with this, and then drill my last couple holes and run the bolts in. As I said earlier in the video, I knew that these boards were warped a bit, so yeah, I mean everything's still square, it's just, you know, that little bow right there, but that's easily fixed. Personally, I think a pipe clamp might be a little bit overkill, but it was honestly the closest thing I had at hand at the moment, so figured go ahead and use it. It's looking good. There, that's flush. Over here it's not, but get that straightened out here in a moment. Get some holes drilled. so I've installed all the bolts, everything's been tightened down, and the two halves are secured. I did have a little bit of trouble with this bolt right here because I had to drill straight through a knot, but overall it came together, and I like how this looks even if it is just the bare framework of the table. But the next step is going to be to sand everything to get rid of all the splinters, and to do that I'm actually going to have to take the bolts out, separate the two halves, and then reassemble everything once the sanding's been done. I'm also going to have to source a piece of plywood for the tabletop, and after that I should be able to start on the display itself, which I'm really looking forward to. But unfortunately, all that's going to have to wait till part 2, which will pick up where we left off here in part 1. So look forward to seeing you guys next time, and thanks for watching. Take care.